Yeah, so maybe actually I could just say at the start of the recording that we went round and said like what our involvement with XR had been so far, what our relationship to the climate and ecological emergency is and what it means to us personally, and then we went round and said like what our relationship to Islam was. And now we're going to go through like basics of approaching like doing media interviews and things. So like you're kind of thinking about like two elements to an interview, like empathy and credibility. So like empathy is like whether you like touch people, you really reach people and they like emotionally connect with what you're saying. And credibility is like that, like they think you know what you're talking about basically, and you're trying to like if you imagine a graph with like empathy and credibility, you're trying to hit both of those. You want like as much empathy and credibility as possible. And you can kind of think about it like that in general people like remember how you made them feel rather than what you said. So you probably, you know, you need to know your stuff. You need to kind of show them that like you know something about this emergency, and that's why you've decided to speak about it. But predominantly the main thing you're trying to do is like show them, hey, I'm an ordinary person like you, and I've decided to like stand up and speak about this because I think it's really serious, and like connect with them on that like normal level that shows them that like tons of different kinds of ordinary people are like deciding to do something about this. I'll probably have to like look at my notes. So in a way, like you're like as someone being interviewed, your greatest strength, like your power lies so much in just being who you are, that like people connect with people when they feel like something in common with them, like, and so that the more that you can bring yourself to those interviews, the better. Like the more you can bring your like what personally like was the like we can talk about it as like personal tipping points. So like when was the point where you were like, actually I have to do something about this, and how did that relate to your like life and your personal circumstance? Like bringing those things in is really, really good. And just shout if you have like thoughts or questions, like and another thing I think that often happens, like because interviews are really like high like tension, high adrenaline situations, and it can feel really scary being like in front of a camera or in a studio or things, it's really tempting to like speak really fast, and like as soon as you get answered a question to like start your answer immediately that they finish answering the question. And actually what conveys that you like know what you're talking about and that you're like credible is to speak really slowly, to like allow yourself time to pause after they ask the question. You can even start with like, that's a really interesting question, or thanks for asking that, and just like take your time. And actually with the emotional part as well, like I think it's tempting to rush to get everything in, but actually sometimes if you speak really slowly, it has much more weight to it. Think and actually like basically half the job, or you know, or more than half the job in an interview is people liking you. Like, you know, you go on and you get asked all these questions about the science and about why you're out on the streets and all these things, but actually the most important thing is that people come away liking you. And like one of those things is like how your voice changes if you're smiling. So again, it's like a scary situation and we can get like tense and like serious, and actually like I'll just like exaggerate, but like when you smile, something changes in the quality of your voice and it's like really magnetic. And that's not to say you have to smile all the time or like you have to like pretend, but like it's like because it's like a high pressure and an unusual situation, it's worth reminding yourself to smile. Let's think if there's anything else. So another really good thing to prepare is like there's like a kind of formula for like preparing a like really strong line that you try to get in your interviews, and it's called a 3-9-27. So it's 3 points delivered in 9 seconds using 27 words. And that's a really good thing to like practice writing out beforehand, so you've got it like memorized and you can just pull it in when you want to, kind of thing. I'll send you like a sheet with like all of this stuff on, but like one way of structuring that works quite well is to like open with the emotional point and then follow it by like 2 facts that like back it up. Cool. So I've got like a like one that I wrote, which actually I don't think quite fits. It's only got 1 fact. But like the one that I've written is we're in a pivotal moment for humanity and I want to do my bit. Climate scientists are telling us we could fatally wound the planet by 2020 if we don't take action. So it's that thing of like you kind of get people's attention by like putting out that like personal emotional bit, and then you bring the credibility in by adding in like climate scientists are saying this, or a stat about the situation or something. Yeah, go ahead, Mohammed.
I was just looking at your article, and there's like one line that stood out for me. Was like, as a young person, no one understands better than I do how frustrating it is when no one listens. Like that could be like an opening. There's like loads of lines like that one you could use as like an opening, like as the emotional connection bit, and then the other bit that Nula's just mentioned.
Yeah, that would be a really strong opening line. And so it's worth like making yourself like a, I don't know, whether you work on like a Google Doc or a Word doc, and like drafting a load of these 3/9/27s and like collecting articles or places where you can find like stats that you want to use in your argument, kind of thing. Do you have any like thoughts or questions or at this point?
Yeah. No, that all sounds pretty.
It sounds
helpful.
good.
Yeah.
Cool. My boyfriend's going to be walking around in the background. We've got someone else staying with us who's like come to London for the rebellion, and so like we're both in his room, and then someone else is in my room. So another thing to be aware of is basically an interview is not a conversation. Like in a normal conversation, if someone asked you a question, you'd want to make sure you answered the exact question they were asking you. Whereas in an interview, lots of their questions will actually be like not what we want to talk about. So they'll ask, I don't know, like how come you're here like during the day, during the week? Don't you have a job? And that's not the point. The point is that like something major is going to happen to our world, and everyone's lives are going to be turned upside down, and we need to decide how we face it. So what you want to get good at doing is acknowledging that question and bridging to what you really need to talk about. So it's fine to say like, I don't know, for instance, there's one spokesperson who's an electrician. So he was in an interview, he was like, well, actually I'm doing this interview from work, I'm an electrician, but this is the real thing that we should be talking about. So that's called bridging. I don't know, there's a variety of ways you could say that. You could say, like, I'm at sixth form, I'm at school, but like actually I think it's worth missing a day of school because blah 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 blah. So it's getting used to like that you don't have to answer the question on their terms. And then another part of this kind of like bridging is also capping. So it's like knowing when to stop your answer. So it's really tempting to like, well, I know for me, like I will like go through and like try to re-say things in different words to make sure, because I'm never sure whether people have understood or I've made my point. And so it's like there's something we can do like to practice that in a minute, like that, like making your point and then stopping really cleanly makes it really powerful. So that 3/9/27 of like this is a pivotal moment for humanity, I want to do my bit. Climate scientists are saying we could fatally wound the world if we don't act in the next year. Stop. Like, and then you leave them with that, and they have to then come back with whatever their next question is, kind of thing. Any questions or thoughts or anything?
Nope, sounds good.
And then there's a couple of like tricks and tips for like preparing for interviews. So I don't know, say like, okay, BBC Asian Network want to do like an interview with you and it's in an hour. And so you first, like you think about like doing your head prep and your like heart prep, and you do your head prep first. So you get like your, if you want to make a sheet of paper, you can make like an A5 sheet, but you want to make sure you don't have too much information on it. Get your 3927 on there, draw like a smiley face on there to remind yourself to smile. Put the like presenter or the person who's going to be interviewing you's name on there, because like you can use their name to like, it does two things. It like connects you when you use their name, and it also holds them to account as well. So it can be quite powerful to like every now and again like answer the question by being like, okay, well, thanks for the question, Ben, but actually I think blah blah blah. Like and then so once you've done your head prep, you know, like you've kind of thought about what kind of questions they might ask you, and you've thought about how you might answer them, and you've written down the 3927, the line you definitely want to get in there. Then you do your like heart prep. So like a couple of things that can be useful for that are like, you can like go into like a really small room, and often what works best is like a toilet, and you like stretch in that space, and you like basically you get like as many, like you get your hands on the walls and you get your feet on the walls, and you like make yourself really big in this small space. And it has like a psychological effect of like, you're much more able to like basically like, I think like come from a place of actually I deserve to be here. I like, you know, it gets you out of this mindset of like, well, big media, I didn't think I'd ever be on the radio or telly, into this like, actually I have something really important to say and I deserve to be here kind of. So that's a useful one. And then there's other things you can do as well to like, I guess like bring your emotions to the surface, and that will help you like stay connected to how emotional a topic this is in that like new situation that can be quite intimidating. So like you can do like chest, it's like an actor's technique, like you do like chest bumps like this, and then you do like on your lower back as well, and it like I don't know why it works. One of the other trainers like showed me about it, but it like it does work. It like brings like your like emotions more to the surface. I guess it like connects you with your body and stuff. Yeah, let's have a look if there's anything else.
Just one thing to say about that smiley face is it's really important, because we were doing this practice before, and it's so easy just to get people asking you questions. We were doing this is to get really stressed, and then just and you start, and then when I looked and I saw the smiley face, you're kind of like, oh yeah, I've got to, and then you stand back, and then it just changes your perspective a bit. So it might sound a bit silly, but it's really, I think it's quite important. Yeah. And I think there's other things you can do as well. Like I try to like hold in my mind like some people who I know think that I have like things that are worth saying, and like just like hold them in my mind that they would be like cheering me on while I do this, and they would be like, yes, you are the right person to do this. Like, yeah, just different things that you can hold in your mind when you're in this TV studio and they're being all professional and whatever. Let's think. So I think another thing to do is basically, if you're asked to do an interview, get some help thinking about it. It doesn't matter if the person's super experienced, but like get someone to help you think about it. And there's a couple of questions you should always ask as well. Like, so that usually you'll get either someone else or you will be put in touch with a producer for the radio show or for the TV show. And you can ask that person like whether there's going to be any other guests and what the topic of the interview is, and they should definitely tell you those things, because that will help you prepare. And then when you know who the like interviewer is, you can like look up how they've treated climate protesters before, how they've treated activists, how they've treated people of color, like, and like just check them out a bit. You can also look up things like whether they've got kids, and like kind of see what their personal connection to this might be, and you can bring that up in interviews as well. Like, you must care about this as well. Like how is it, you know, like you must be thinking about your own children and stuff. Like, let's think if there's anything else. So that sounds like a really powerful thing to say, because I could never say that. You've got a daughter the same age as me, but you could say that or something, and it just be like, do you not? It must be really powerful to actually make it real. Yeah, and it depends. Like different spokespeople will be able to
get away with saying different things. So I think as young people, you can actually get away with a lot. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting constant calls. Something must be going on. Yeah, and then the other thing is thinking about who the audience are for like a particular show. So like, obviously, like you guys have potentially got an opportunity to do something with BBC Asian Network, so that's a like particular audience. If you were going on like talk radio, it might be like van drivers in London, so that's another particular like audience. And like you get to think about that in terms of whether you want to do the interview, and also in terms of like what you think will reach those people, kind of thing. Let's have a look. Okay, I think that's probably all that it makes sense to say in terms of like prep and things. Shall we take like a short break and then we'll do some like rounds of like practicing answering questions and stuff? If we come back at like 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
Does that work? Yeah, I'm just going to stay on the call, but I'm just going to get a drink and go to the toilet and things.
Okay.
Great. Would you not want to get a drink or something? Yeah, but just leave it on. Okay. Don't knock over my drink. No what? Should I just stand this here?
Where did you two say you live again?
We live in Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire, okay. Whereabouts in Hertfordshire?
In Brooklyn.
Okay. Oh, cool. Yeah, so near like Cheshire and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I live in London in Haringey, but I grew up in like between like Cambridge and Newmarket, so like not that far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Martha? Where do you live?
I feel a bit itinerant at the moment. I'm kind of in Cornwall, sort of, there at the moment. But I've lived in London for a long time. Yeah, on Totnes as well.
Nice. Cool. So, yeah.
Just one thing in terms of if people do interview on the radio, you can always ask them as well for if they don't give it to you, like a clip of the recording, like the link to it. So share that, and they should give that to you.
Yeah, that's a really good idea to ask for that, because it's useful for you to listen back, and it's useful for us to like have a record of people's interviews as well. Another thing as well, like you said you're both under 18, right?
Yeah.
That like actually if you do any interviews you need your parents' permission as well.
Yeah. When I went to the climate strike, I did an interview for Vice, and I needed my mum's signature for that.
Yeah, right, like they actually asked for a signature on a form kind of thing.
Yeah
I think that the media are pretty like, they don't want to get in trouble, so pretty stringent about it. Okay, so we could do like a couple of rounds of practice, and like what I usually do is like we go around in a circle, and each person asks the next person a question, and then you answer, and you go round. So I don't know if you have like, quite often what I do is like ask like I guess the question that we answered at the start, like what's your personal relationship to the climate emergency, and like what brought you here, and then we like switch to answer a question that's a bit more like what you might get in an interview, but try to bring in what you answered to the first question. But like, do any of you have like particular questions you want to answer or like get to practice, or thoughts about what?
No, nothing in particular. No.
Martha, do you have thoughts about particular questions?
Just like, shouldn't you really be at school, like studying? Like, why are you out here on like a Friday or whatever day it is? Like, what do your parents think about that? Why aren't they getting you to go to school?
Yeah, that's what we used that one in the youth one, and that was good. So why don't we start with a round of like basically I guess the question is what's it like to be you right now with the climate and ecological emergency happening. So if we write out an order, like if and it's sorry, I'm really bad with names. It's Ineska, is that right?
Ineska, yeah.
Ineska.
Yep.
Cool.
Is it with an S or a Z?
A Z.
Oh, with a Z. Ineska.
Yeah, Anezka.
Cool. Sweet. So Martha, if I ask you first, and then you'll pass it on to Kainat, and Kainat, you'll pass it on to Ineska. So Martha, I'll just ask you, like, what's it like to be you right now?
It feels like at the sort of this place where we've got 2 years to act, and I want to. That's what the UN's been saying, and I feel this responsibility to bring what experience I've got to the movement and to help where I can. And that's what it feels like. No, and that's how. And I feel angry, and I feel empowered as well by working with everybody and seeing who's joining the movement.
Nice. So if you ask Kaina, what's it like?
Kaina, what's it like to be you right now in the movement?
Well, at the moment, I'm feeling scared, angry, but also empowered as well. I never thought I would be in the situation where I would be one of the last people to save the planet, but here we are. So, yeah, I guess I'm just now ready for action.
And then if you ask,
Aneska, what does it feel like to be you at the moment? For me, it's different. I don't feel scared. I feel more angry. I feel more empowered because young people haven't ever been given such a massive platform before as our generation has. So I feel like I have a voice and I'm not going to waste it being afraid. I'm going to use it by standing up for what I think is right and what I think needs to be done.
And then if you ask me,
how does it feel to be you right now?
I think at moments it feels terrifying, like that there's no stepping away from this. Like, you know, I could step away from Extinction Rebellion, but I can't step away from the like physical reality of what's happening. But at other moments it feels like there's a huge sense of relief. Like I've known something needed doing for ages, and like to actually go, you know what, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do everything I can to like to turn this around. Like there's some relief in that as well. Cool. So should we go around and do the like, well, we could do like, I don't know, Motha, should we do the like why aren't you at school one, and then you and I answer a slightly different version, like why aren't you at work?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Motha, you're here like on a weekday blocking a road. Haven't you got a job to go to?
Well, actually, I'm a freelance consultant, so that is my work, and my work actually is all about the climate. That's what I've been decided to move I've moved away from professional law into this narrower specialism, because I believe that there is a need for this transition, and that's what I'm working for. And that transition can only happen if people are waking up to the need, and that's also why I'm here as well.
Nice. And then if you pass on to Kaina.
Kaina, it's a school day. You're under 18. Shouldn't you be at school? What are you doing out here?
I should be at school, but the fact that adults older than me can't take responsibility for the current climate crisis, I am having to come out of school, miss my lessons, just to clear up the mess of people who aren't willing to take responsibility for the crisis at the moment. So that is why I'm outside of school.
Good.
Aneska, why are you not in school? There's no point me getting an education if I'm not going to live long enough to get a job. So by being here, I feel like it's raising awareness that something needs to be done. Otherwise, what is the point of having an education if I'm not going to be doing anything with it? You know, let's start here. Let's first ensure that I will have a future, then I'll work on actually making it a good one.
Really good answers, both of you.
Nuala, middle of the day, why aren't you at work?
I'm fine. I like the next like, now it's probably 16 months to the end of 2020 are going to be pivotal for humanity. You know, I could, you know, I spent years learning Mandarin. I could have a very good job. I don't think it makes sense to do that right now. I think it makes sense to be on the streets raising the alarm, because otherwise there isn't going to be like any jobs for anyone. Something like that. But
I've got a question.
Yeah.
This comes from an interview that Piers Morgan did. So it's it was look, you're both talking about this as if the world's going to end. and you're going to get stressed, and you're going to get depressed. That's not the reality. You know, you're exaggerating, and you've been brought into. People have been feeding you stuff. You know, you've not really, and you've just been taking it in, and you've been brainwashed. Really, what have you got to say to that? I mean, that's what I think is really happening here.
I saw that interview.
Yeah, I think that one's going to come up a lot, this idea that like adults are brainwashing people or controlling them, and that's why they're on the street. So should we do a round with that? Like,
yeah.
So ask up to Kaina. Yeah, you know, you're talking about it as if the world's going to end, you're going to save the world and like this, but it's not going to end. And, you know, adults have been, you know, you've been brainwashed into thinking this from all the movements like Extinction Rebellion to make you think this. That's what's really happening here.
Oh gosh, how do I answer this?
you can think about that thing as well of like pulling it back to the like personal, emotional.
Yeah, I was just thinking, because I don't want to, I could just throw the facts at them again, but I don't know whether, I feel like I'm not answering the question fully. Do you know what I mean? I feel like if anyone's brainwashing someone, it's probably the people saying it's not true, trying to brainwash the actual proactive people into thinking that actually, you know what, there's not a problem.
I think, yeah, something. One argument you can bring in is like, actually, you know what? It's so irresponsible to keep questioning this. Like the science is done. We know we need to act. We know we need to act fast. If you keep sowing doubt, that it's like an incredibly irresponsible thing to do.
Also, just following on from Aneska, it's something like to make it that emotional. It's like all adults always think is that kids can't read, that we can't think for ourselves. I can read that kind of answer as well. That I'm doing, you know. And then it puts the guilt onto them.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue?
Oh, me?
So you asked the question.
Or Aneska?
Oh, Aneska's already answered it, hasn't she?
Oh, so shall I answer it then?
Yeah, so I'll ask you again. So what's really happening here is that you're being brainwashed. You're quoting these facts that Extinction Rebellion has been given to you, and you're just saying them, regurgitating them. You haven't really thought this through. You're just being brainwashed into this place. And it's shameful, actually, on Extinction Rebellion to do that to you children.
Well, do you know what? I have actually looked through the facts. I've looked through the science, and I've looked through the facts, and it's clear and evident that we don't have time. We need to be putting in the work to try and stop this current crisis that we're in. And what else should I say? And I know that you think that we're being brainwashed, but you think we're being brainwashed because you've never actually seen young people stand up for themselves and seen young people stand for what they believe in.
Nice. Kaina, do you want to ask Aneska?
Aneska, what was the question again? Something about being brainwashed.
Yeah. It's not really that bad. It's not really that urgent. You're being scared and brainwashed by adults.
Not a question. Yeah, so the current crisis isn't actually an emergency. You're just being brainwashed. I think it's very easy for someone to sit there and say that something isn't true. What I'm doing is the actual difficult part, which is actually trying to convince the people like you that there is a crisis and that we need to start acting before, you know, you find out for yourself, before you find out the hard way. So I'm not being brainwashed. I'm just using the voice that I never used to have to show to you that actually we need to do something.
Nice.
I really like the sigh at the beginning. That was really good.
Yeah.
Shall I ask the question again?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, how do you pronounce your name?
Nuala. That's why I put the like brackets bit.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Nuala, there is no climate crisis. There is no issue. We're not going to die by 2020. Why are you giving these fake facts to the public?
This isn't false information. The science is actually pretty clear. We're not saying we're going to die by 2020. We're saying if we don't act decisively by 2020, it's going to be too late. Climate change doesn't hit, it's now I'm getting into like too complicated things. How should I do this? Okay, I guess I should. So actually, any situation like this, you would normally take a risk assessment approach. You wouldn't wait to know exactly how many people are going to die or exactly when the seas are going to rise. You would say, for instance, if you had an airplane and you were about to send your children on holiday on it, if there was a fault with that airplane and there was a 20% chance that it would crash, you don't send them on the airplane. So we're looking at a situation here where it's pretty clear that the impacts are going to be devastating. We don't wait to see how devastating they are. We act now.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When we're like, if we had to be interviewed, would we get the questions beforehand, or would they all just be spontaneous?
You won't get the question. Almost always, you won't get the exact questions beforehand, but you can get an idea, and that's why it's good to like pull someone else in to help you, like brainstorm what kind of questions you think you're going to get. And also, like, it sounds like you've been watching lots of interviews already, like just to watch them and like take note of, like, the media kind of like is quite predictable. They like kind of copy each other like a lot. So like, you get like these trends of certain questions that always come up. Martha, shall I ask you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you come on here and you talk about an emergency and we need to act now, but it's not clear that it's actually that urgent. I think Extinction Rebellion are just trying to scare people.
Well, when you look at all the scientists are coming together to put these reports, the IPCC report saying that this is an emergency, the courts in some countries are taking as a fact that the emergency is here. The Parliament has declared a climate and environment emergency. Everybody's saying it's an emergency, but what we don't know is how to act on an emergency, which is so like more than 5, 10, 15 years. We don't know how to do that. So we're acting as if this isn't an emergency because, the air's clean. But it's there. It's in a horizon that's beyond our sight, and it's coming really fast now. And we've got to act now to prevent the destruction that's been predicted.
Yes. Yeah, so we're kind of coming towards the end. I think basically it's just really useful to do a lot of this, and I definitely need to do more of it as well. I don't do that many interviews anyway, but it basically, like, in that pressured situation, you're unlikely to like, if it's going to go well, it'll usually be the case that you will have said the things you're saying before at some point. You will have like thought them through and actually like said them. So like the more practicing and running through in your head that you can do, the better. Yeah, and maybe we can think about, Mothe, like actually you could just run like practice sessions like this for Exile Muslims, and like if I don't know what your time's like, but like just do a lot of this going round and like brainstorming like what kind of questions might come up. And
and if you could getting a sense of like how much media interest there would be in having young Muslims speaking around these issues, and so we could run. There's a few of us here, and we just need to. I'm going to add Shay onto here, and then Zion as well. So there's more people who've got experience, so we can kind of help each other and grow that kind of capacity, I guess. Yeah, and just as constructive feedback. I think both of you have got really like genuine presence. Like, you both speak, and that's really important. Like that connection that Nuala was talking about, the emotional. You're speaking your truth, and that's most of it anyway.
Yeah, definitely agree. So there's a couple of things that would be useful to do, like before we finish the call. Like, do both of you have Gmail addresses?
Yeah.
Would you be able to post them in the chat here, and then I'll send you an invite to edit a spreadsheet where you can like put in like a couple of details about yourself, which could go in our spokespeople database. If you're happy to be in there.
Yeah.
Great, nice. And then have you been on Basecamp before? It's like a platform where you...
No.
Okay, so I'll also add you on there, and it'll send you an invite to join. And that's like, there's a Basecamp page that's called like Spokespeople and Trainers Resource Hub. So like there's like documents on there that you can like use to prepare and things. So I'll add you both on there so that you can access those if you need them.
Before you guys mentioned XR Youths, how would we get like involved with them as well?
I think the best way is probably through their Facebook page.
Yeah.
Have you got the Facebook page?
Okay.
Have I got it? Yeah, I can.
No, kind of. Do you know? I think, is it Sav and Robin?
No, we don't have Facebook, so we haven't.
Oh, really? Okay, so maybe there's a different way that would be better for you then. I don't know.
Youth is.
They've got a website as well. They might have a sign up there.
Do you know how to use the chat, by the way? Where there's a chat box for Zoom.
On this?
Yeah.
Yeah, or if you put them in the WhatsApp chat, it's fine as well.
The WhatsApp chat. Oh yeah.
You can put it in the chat. No.
You can just put it in the WhatsApp chat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I found it.
Cool.
Okay, so email accounts.
I'm putting the Extinction Rebellion Youth website in the WhatsApp chat.
Thank you.
What day would you be able to come down, do you think, to London next week, just so I've got a sense of...
Well, I was actually going to ask you, is there any specific day that you want us to come down?
Well, just the journalist said she's going to be really busy with things happening in the week, and she said to just give us some notice, and then she'll try, and she will come if I can get a time when people are together. So I was thinking maybe midweek, so like Wednesday, something around that. And then will you be coming just down for a day, or will you be staying over, or each day?
Well, we'll be coming for the day because we live just on the outskirts of London, so we can just get a train in and out. I am coming to Westminster on Sunday because I'm going for a uni open visit, but because I'll be in the area, I can also come on that Saturday as well, Saturday the 12th of October.
Okay.
Yeah,
it'll probably be early if you want to interview during the week. So is midweek possible? Do you think?
Yeah, maybe Thursday or Friday would be better for us to come.
Thursday or Friday, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just sending these things. Well, so do you have a Gmail as well? Or?
Gmail. Does it have to be a Gmail?
I can send you an invite to the other email address, but then I think you have to log in with a Gmail, basically in order to not share it as a link, so it can't, people's information can't go like out without like having control of who sees it. I think you have to log in with a Gmail account.
Yeah.
Is
this for the Basecamp?
No, this is for the spreadsheet, like to get some information on like who people are and contact information for spokespeople. Okay. I just wanted to add you in so you had access to it as well.
I've just put my Gmail account.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
my one's not a Gmail, but I think you get it from Kainat.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Would it work to have XR Muslims there?
Yeah, I can. Does it have like it's like limited number of people who are accessing that?
Just me and Safia.
Great, cool. I can do that. Yeah.
What are the timings for this Faith Bridge event?
So it's for the whole rebellion for 2 weeks, and it's starting on Monday. And there's different events. If you go on the Facebook, different things happening from different communities. So the Muslims, if you know anybody who wants to do the call to prayer, we're going to do the call to prayer like 12, the Azan, Zuhur, 12:45. Thursday would be a good time if you're going to come down. Actually, we're having a people's assembly with
Yeah.
with 3 Muslim speakers to talk about environmental advocacy and Islam and the challenges. And that it'd be good to have you there, and maybe you could be part of that panel as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you want, yeah. So that's at 12 noon on Thursday. And then there's printing. Bring your t-shirts. We've got the Muslim wooden block to print t-shirts and things.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do lots of that.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to get a Jummah, but it hasn't yet finalised that yet. So there's different things happening on the first week, particularly. Second week, things aren't as planned.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Sweet. If you two can fill in that spreadsheet like today, that would be amazing. Yeah. And yeah, let's keep in touch on the WhatsApp chat and stuff.
Yeah.
Nuala, thanks so much for your time and just doing this at short notice.
Oh, you know what? It's so nice to get to do it and get to
so
meet people.
much.
It's really great. Thank you for making it happen.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
All right. Well, maybe see everyone next week at some point.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. See you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.